You know, our culture has put a lot of emphasis on cars and careers, but only 10 cents on integrity, family, and impact.
Men, God has placed us as the head of our families, and there's a huge responsibility attached to it. So let's jump in and learn how to be the biblical man that God not only designed, but expects us to be.
So most of you may not know this, but I enjoy professional football sometimes, and I love my football analogies. So far too many men, including Christian men, are content, sadly, with being on the practice squad, so to speak, versus being a starter. Many are okay with just being okay, like just getting by or living an ordinary, mundane kind of life. Men are not thinking about greatness at all. And even if they are, they're thinking about it according to this messed up world standard for greatness, if that makes any sense. So someone wants you to think about, so imagine if somebody broke into a store and they didn't steal anything, they didn't take anything, but they switched the price tags. And what they did, here's what I mean. So what they did was they broke in the store and they took the tag off of, let's say, a very expensive diamond. And they take that tag and they put it on a cubic zirconia. And then they take the tag on the cubic zirconia and put it on the very expensive diamond. So imagine this. So people are coming in the store the next day, and what they're doing is they're buying an expensive diamond, but actually they're getting a cubic zirconia. You see, they would be spending a lot of money on worthless items and very little cash on expensive items. Sounds crazy, right? You see, we live in a culture today that has basically switched the price tags, so to speak, on what I call true greatness. I truly believe that God stands in the locker rooms of our souls, calling us men to greatness, only as long as the greatness that He's calling us to falls under His authority in a way that reflects His glory. You see, the world doesn't see this as valuable, but in regards to eternity, in God's eyes, it's priceless. You see, when you can get to the point that you can actually understand the value of true greatness, that is the key to experiencing all that you were actually destined to be when God created you. Then He said, "Whoever would be great among you must be your servant." You see, the Gentiles and the Pharisees of that day, they exercised what they thought was greatness through lording it over other people. What they do is they displayed their greatness, or what they thought was greatness, through power plays, politics, kind of like the world pretty much does today, if you look at how the world system runs. I shouldn't have to say this, but we live in a power-driven world. Men, sadly, they rule by intimidation, fear tactics, and even leverage. But Christ said, "Is it not that way among you?" You see, Jesus never diminished a man's need for greatness. He never did that. He just very gently defined the way that a man ought to go about getting that greatness, which is, hear me, through service or serving. You see, true greatness is others driven and outward focused. The greatest player, whether it's sports, corporate America, ministry, I mean, you name it. The greatest player is the player or the person who makes sure that their contribution best lines up within the goals and the strategies of the team as a whole. You see, while God has created you to be great, because He did, your greatness must always be a reflection of His own. Kind of similar to how the moon reflects the sun. God's greatness was demonstrated through His Son Jesus, who did not come to be served, as I said earlier, but came to serve and give His life as a ransom for many. So just to be clear, your greatness ought to be making the lives within your sphere of influence better, not worse. I hope that makes sense. You see, your greatness should really inspire other men because they can see your impact for good in other people's lives. Remember that greatness is going to look different for each and every one of us because it's based on our positions, it's based on our personalities, it's based on even our potential. This doesn't mean that your name will always be the one in the lights, so to speak, on the scoreboard. So let me give you another analogy. I know, me and my analogies, right? So I heard Tony Evans use this analogy. So one of the greatest football players on the field, believe it or not, is the punter. Yes. If the punter doesn't consistently give the opposing team the worst field position possible, the game can actually change. I mean, it can change the momentum of the game, it can change the score of the game, it can even change the outcome of the game. So get this, think about this. How many people actually know the name of the punter? They know the quarterback, the running back, the big name wide receiver. Most people don't know the punter's name. But known or unknown, he still needs to be great. Hopefully that makes sense. So whether you are known or even unknown, God still expects you to be great. You see, greatness for us men who want to be kingdom of God men, it begins with aligning ourselves. I said this a couple of weeks ago, aligning ourselves according to God's kingdom agenda in order to benefit other people. So you have to decide, not only do I want greatness, but I want it according to God's methods. And I know this might be kind of difficult for some of you just listening to what I'm saying. You might feel like life has kind of dealt you a raw hand, or maybe you got all odds against you at the moment. You know, there are so many factors. Like, for example, maybe you were raised without a father, or maybe you feel that there's some sort of racially marginalized issue or financial issue, or maybe your family's currently in a mess right now, or maybe you've been kind of living your life as a man passively and not being active, not being an active husband, father, and leader of your home. So whatever the circumstances you find yourself in right now, don't let that define or determine your destiny. See, Jesus said that if you believe in him, you will do greater works than he did. He didn't say you might do them. He didn't say you could do them. He said you will do them. Well, fellas, until next week, I want you to be intentional in your thoughts, your words, and your actions. So next week, what we're going to be moving on to is the power that really lives inside of one man. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you like this video. Comment on this video if you have any questions or comments. If you have any subjects that you're kind of confused about and you want to get my take on it, please drop the information in the comment section. And like I tell you guys every week, I love you, I believe in you, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.